And one of the biggest challenges that I did face as a young mother was definitely balancing my family life and work life. Being able to speak out when we are not okay. Financial literacy is actually one of the first things we all need to do. My grandma, she was a solid woman, and I still remember what she did as a single woman, as a widow. Hey, empower yourself financially.
Welcome to Legacy Podcast, where we explore powerful stories, impactful lessons, and meaningful conversations. I'm your host, Raisa Frida, and today we have an incredible guest with us, Ifeoma Ngwudike. She's a champion for financial literacy, an advocate for women of color, and an aspiring author helping immigrant women in Canada take control of their financial futures. This episode is brought to you by MCG College, where we are committed to empowering individuals through education, career training, and community support. At MCG, we believe that knowledge is power, and that includes financial knowledge. That's why today's conversation is so important. We will be diving into Ifeoma's journey, the challenges and opportunities immigrant women face, and how financial knowledge can be a tool for empowerment and legacy building. If you're looking to gain insights on money, success, and leaving a lasting impact, this episode is for you. So let's get into it. Hi, Ifeoma. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
That's amazing. I'm doing great, and thank you so much for coming here. I would love to start with our first question. So, can you share a bit about your journey to Canada, and what were some of the biggest challenges you faced?
Of course. So I have been in Canada for 17 years now. So it feels like a long time ago. But, I came to Canada with my family of 6. So I have 4 children, and my children were all under the age of 6.
Wow.
So that journey at the beginning, it was tough. It was pretty challenging. Having to do survival jobs, having to figure out childcare for children, and going back to school at that age, right? But those challenges actually helped to build me to who I am today, because I had to learn so many skills to be able to thrive. And one of the biggest challenges that I did face as a young mother was definitely balancing my family life and work life. That was a big challenge.
Wow. And can you tell me what inspired you to start helping other immigrant women with financial literacy?
For me, financial literacy is actually one of the first things we all need to do when we talk about wealth, right? Because knowledge is power. And if you don't know, then you don't know what you don't know. And it's always going to be a challenge. But in terms of what inspired me to start, empowering other women like myself is actually my journey, because I stayed home as a stay-at-home mom for 10 years.
Wow.
And that set me back,
That's incredible.
In terms of my financial journey and my financial independence. And, a lot of women, they don't have to stay home for 10 years, but there's a lot of gender inequality struggles that women, go through that does set us back when it comes to our financial independence.
I see. So you saw it in your life, and that inspired you to help others.
Absolutely. I know there's a lot of us.
I agree with you. Now, did you experience any specific financial struggles, or maybe I would say surprises, when you arrived? And how did you overcome those?
Oh, yeah, there were lots of surprises for sure. If you're not working, even though my spouse was working and we were one single income family, I still felt limited in the choices and in the options I could have, because it didn't feel like my money. But what struck me was actually when we wanted to buy a home. And I realized that I did not have any credit history.
Oh, wow.
And why was that? I did have a credit card, but I was not the primary owner of the credit card. So even though I had a credit card, it was not in my name and I was not building any credit history. And that struck me. Like, wow, so I've spent all these months, but I was not building any history that could help us buy the house.
You know what? When you said that to me, even I was thinking about it, that same thing happened to my mother. And I can even relate to your story. So I wonder how many of us are out there who just needs to know, like, hey, if you have a credit card, put it under your name and build up your credit.
Absolutely.
Great. Now, I would like to ask you a couple of more questions.
Okay.
Why do you think financial literacy is especially important for immigrant women?
Okay, great question. You know, when we talk about financial literacy and how it impacts women, it's very different. You know, I talked about gender inequality, and it impacts every area of a woman's life. In the workplace, a lot of women earn lower than men, right? And why an immigrant woman? Specifically, first of all, there is cultural differences. There is the different ways that people treat money and things that, you know, money can do for you when you come to a new place. So my focus on immigrant women is because of the fact that I know that they need to understand how money works in Canada and how to make money work for them. It's not about how much they earn. It's about really understanding, how does money work? Because if we don't know how money works, then we're not leveraging that knowledge.
Thank you so much, Ifeoma. That leads to my next question. What are some of the common financial mistakes you see immigrant women making?
That's one big mistake that immigrant women make. They do not understand how credit works and how it is important for them in North America, where we have a credit culture, to understand exactly how credit works, because we all need it, right? So that's one big mistake. The other big mistake that I see a lot of immigrant women make is their inability to explain the value that they bring to the community, to the workplace, to their businesses. And that, in effect, either gets them to be underemployed, and that translates to little or no money, right? And also, they don't really think a lot about themselves. They think about every other person but themselves. But guess what? Women live longer than men statistically. So if immigrant women that are probably already going to start life in a new place and new are not thinking about those things, that is going to set them back.
Absolutely. Now, what's that one financial tip you wish more women knew when they arrived first in Canada?
Just one.
For sure. But what is the main thing that you think that people should do?
This is a financial principle that I think everybody should know about. Pay yourself first. No matter how much money you make or how much money comes into your pocket, pay yourself first. You got to take care of number one.
Now, Ifeoma, I know that you have helped so many people, not just women. You've been helping men and underrepresented people, undervalued people with financial literacy. Can you share one success story?
Oh, yes. When you asked that, I remember the single mother that our paths crossed. And her situation actually felt hopeless. But I thought, there is no situation that there is no solution for. We just need to explore options. And so by the time I sat down with this woman and we began to look through her habits, her financial situation, she was in a lot of debt, right? And she was struggling, definitely not thriving. And she had a little one to take care of. Mm-hmm. And I sat down with her and focusing on just basic building her solid financial foundation through making sure that she had some money put aside for emergencies. Started working on making sure that she pays off her debt. in a couple of years, we were actually able to get things in control. She didn't feel like she was starving, but she was feeling stronger because she could see that now she had that peace of mind. Her debts were actually paid off very quickly because now there was a structure put in place and she had accountability. And that just increased her confidence. She changed jobs. She began to rise higher in corporate world, and her children could also see that change. So it wasn't just impacting only her, it was also passing over to her children.
Oh, that's really nice to hear that. Now, Ifeoma, as we celebrate Black History Month, what does financial empowerment mean in the context of Black excellence and generational wealth?
Wow, that question is really, really packed. And if I had like a full day, that would be something that I could talk about. When it comes to generational wealth for Black people here in North America, it is an important topic to actually think about because of the systemic disparities in the economy, especially where a lot of Black people there's no financial inclusion for them. They are set back many years, and it's all because of the system, right? So you can imagine that if the Black community is not adding to our economic powers, but they are being removed from it, and this is passing on from generation to generation, when are they going to be able to rise up? And so it's really very important that we educate the Black community and every community, but specifically the Black people, to understand that they can actually have wealth generating and moving within their own community, because that representation matters, right? But also understanding that it's not just about making money, it's about building wealth, which is very different. And a lot of them do not understand that. Because they can make a lot of monies, we play a lot of sports, we are very creative and innovative, we have a lot of color, and we can make a lot of monies. But if we are not building assets, we're not building wealth.
I see. So how can financial literacy be used as a tool for breaking barriers in the Black community?
That is a very important question. And it helps people to really think about it. It's not about saying we don't know a lot already, but it's about helping people to be focused, because we're in a very distracted world, right? And some of that distraction is actually part of that systemic imbalance that I talk about. So when we focus on financial literacy, the Black people will understand exactly what they need to do and what they need to focus on, and remove the noise. Because when they are focused on what's important for them, then they are beginning to build that generational wealth. But without the education, without the literacy, how are they going to know? Right? And so I can give you an example of how that can look, right? So I have 4 children, they're growing. If I do not understand myself financial literacy, I'm not going to pass it on to my children. So there's that legacy, right? So what we don't know, we can pass on. And they pick it from whether it's social media, but their lived experience is very different. So I got to teach them in my own ways, right? How do I understand how money works so that they can do it for themselves and then pass it on to their own children as well, right? So it's very important that Black people understand.
And I hear that you're going to some conferences very soon for the Black History Month. Can you please tell us how you're also contributing to your community?
Oh, wow. For me, Black history is history. And history often does repeat itself.
Yes.
So we do need to learn from history. It's not about saying, getting people demoralized or trying to tarnish anybody's image. It's really about learning from history and being empowered by the stories that we hear. And then what can we do for the future? So when I attend events or when I'm speaking at events, I'm very focused on the people that I'm trying to talk about I do my part to learn. There's so much history out there. I don't know if you've heard of Africville, so such things remind me of, if we've done it before, we were able as Black people to build strong communities, economic communities, even though it may have been taken away from us. We are resilient people and we can do it again. So when I go to events and when I'm speaking at events, it's about helping people and telling them you can be empowered even by yourself. But together as a community, we even do it more. Right? Yeah.
Thank you so much,
You're
Ifeoma.
welcome.
So, Ifeoma, I know that you have written a wonderful book.
Yes.
I want to know about that book. So tell us about your book and what inspired you to write it, and what can readers expect to learn from this book?
Yes, I'm very proud to have written the Successful Immigrant Woman.
Yeah.
Yes, and in that book, I shared strategies that
8 strategies, right? Yes.
8 strategies that an immigrant woman can use to support themselves, build confidence, be empowered, right? As an immigrant woman. And why did I do that? Because immigrant women are resilient. They have a lot to offer, and through our journey, right, going through so many challenges, all happening at the same time, who else is best positioned in the world to take care of things, if not somebody that already knows how to navigate challenges and still be successful? So I wanted to remind us that we already got it within us. And through that book and the research that I did, I laid it out, right? You know yourself, and understanding yourself, you now take it to the next step of making sure that you're able to speak about who you truly are, so that you can help other people and your community. And so through that book, I was celebrating all the immigrant women for all the awesomeness they bring to our communities, but also reminding them that we stand on the shoulders of each other. We pull each other up, we rise together, and we do it in strategic ways. Even if nobody else is gonna clap for us or to their own horns, we need to recognize the power that we bring as a collective. So that's why I wrote that book. And one thing, that I really try to portray through the series of stories and strategies that I was sharing in the book was definitely the fact that we all got it already inside of us. Sometimes we just need somebody to shine that gem. But in the overwhelm, we should remember that we already have it. And then working together, finding that trusted person, being able to speak out when we are not okay, that it's okay to do that. And definitely empowering ourselves economically and with confidence that we can overcome and be more than any other person thinks that we are. So we believe in ourselves because we can.
Now, if there's one lesson from your book that every woman should take away, what would it be?
Hey, empower yourself financially.
That's amazing.
With financial independence, you're not limited to the choices you make in life. You have more options in life, and you impact not only yourself, your family, and the community. Women are awesome. So yeah.
Now, Ifeoma, our last question for every guest we have is the same. And now I'm going to ask you this one. What's the legacy you hope to leave through your work?
Legacy. Legacy is, sometimes it feels like a big word and big responsibilities, right? But I believe that we're all here for a purpose. And for me, legacy falls within that purpose for which I am here. It's never really about me. It's about the impact that I have on others. And one legacy that I wish to leave, of course, I've written a book and I hope that that continues to build legacy. But I think a lot about my family, because my grandma, she was a solid woman. And I still remember what she did as a single woman, as a widow, bringing up all her children and, standing tall when we have a lot of men, she took all her land that was taken from her husband. And I want to be that woman that stands tall, even in the face of adversity, so that when other people that are rising up, our future generation, my children, my children's children, when they hear my story, like we talk about history, they are not only inspired, but they are challenged to do more because other people are going to stand on their shoulders. So that's the legacy I want to leave, that when I go away, when people hear my story, my family and people in the community, they are inspired knowing that that's going to challenge other people to stand on their shoulders and continue to impact lives for generations to come.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ifeoma, for sharing that. Now, this has been an incredible conversation, and I know so many of our listeners will take away valuable insights. Now, where can people connect with you and find your book or even learn more about your work?
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity, for sure. In terms of where people can find me, I'm usually on LinkedIn, for sure. And so they can just look for Ifeoma Ngwudike on LinkedIn. Right now, they can also check my website.
So it's called yes2amazing.ca. Okay.
Yes. And they can send me emails from that place.
Perfect.
So, yes.
Now, to our listeners, thank you for tuning in. I hope you liked our podcast. Please feel free to subscribe, like, and share, and let us know about your thoughts. So let's keep growing, let's keep building our legacy, and let's keep making communities great.
MCG, Making Communities Great.